to do that, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Sykes?
Yes.
Is it Bowman that seconded?
Daniel.
Daniel Crowe?
Yes. Are you doing a roll call or?
Yes.
Stop it.
Sorry. I get ahead of myself.
Yes, yes.
Roll call? Is it
Yes,
roll call?
please.
Sykes?
Yes.
Crowe?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Obermeyer?
Yes, and next take up 24-3 cremation, gentlemen.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? You get those?
Mhm.
Roll call, please.
Crowe?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Sykes?
Yes.
Obermeyer?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next up, we are at vendor claims. There is one correction. It is out of the assessor's fund. It was in there at 92.94. It should be 96.44, so there'll be an additional $3.50. It was just incorrectly put in there. So that is the only other correction that I'm aware of. Everybody had an opportunity. They were a smaller list of claims.
I have a question.
Sir?
Do we pay the, since I'm new, do we pay this gravel and stuff year round, or does it end pretty soon?
As long as we can get it. Like through the roads department, you mean? Like Johnson Sand and
Yeah,
Gravel
yeah,
and all
yeah.
those? Yep. As long as we can purchase it. We continue to purchase. There's been years where it freezes and then we can't get to it and they save, they might not have the stockpile or something, they'll shut us off, but Harvey will continue to look. And now the rock, from the quarries, we can get continually.
Just wondered if that bill was a year round one.
Yeah, I think, I don't remember what the number was in the last report, but typically between the rock and the gravel, we spend right at $1 million a year
Yeah,
for our county roads.
thanks.
Any other questions on the vendor claims?
Move to approve.
Thank
Including
you.
the amendment.
Thank you.
Second.
Daniel B. So slow. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bowman?
Yes.
Crowe?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Sykes?
Yes.
Obermeyer?
Yes. Okay, there is no funding transfers that I'm aware of. And next up, we will discuss on the vehicle purchase for the assessor's office. I assume Kurt would like to come up and speak to this.
Good morning.
Morning.
Kurt.
Kurt Morgan, York County Assessor. So, during the budget process this year, I had sent a letter to the budget committee and requesting the purchase of a vehicle and asking that either it be purchased with ARPA money or inheritance tax money. Since then, I've learned that the ARPA funds have been already designated for specific projects. I think you guys had to designate that by a certain time, is that right?
End of this year.
End of this year, so,
But that doesn't mean that, yeah, I mean, we haven't counted pennies yet. But
Sure.
There's quite a bit of it designated, yes, sir.
sure. So just looking at the needs of the office, we are getting behind on inspections of properties, whether it be our 6-year inspection or even just the permit work that we have to do. We currently have over 300 open permits right now that we need to check. Those are residential, and then there's 39 commercial permits that we need to go follow up with as well. With the agreement for the use of the vehicle with the Veterans Service Office, the way I understood it when when the vehicle was purchased was the VSO's office would coordinate the usage of the vehicle. But if they had a vet that had an appointment that they need to go to Omaha or Lincoln to the VA, then that would have first rights over the use of the vehicle. So it's also becoming a little bit difficult to make plans to use the vehicle if we don't know when it's going to be available to us to use. Since purchasing the Equinox, prior to that, there was the old white car, which I'm sure some of you remember. It was a hand-me-down from the sheriff's office, so it was already had high mileage. It wasn't ideal for transporting veterans in. because it's something that you gotta sit down into, it's hard to get out. The condition wasn't great. A lot of times the VSOs, volunteer drivers would just use their personal vehicles to drive veterans to their appointments. My predecessor would sometimes use her own vehicle for property inspections instead of using that vehicle as well. So once that Equinox was purchased, we saw a greater use by both offices for it, to the point now where it's getting hard for us to get some of our work done in our office. And so that's why this year I requested that a vehicle be purchased for our use. So we'll just kind of go from there. I do have two things to hand out here. I did provide this to the budget committee as well. One is kind of just the assessor's usage of both the car and the Equinox. And then I also surveyed the 92 assessors across the state to see what they have in their offices for use. Just to kind of get an idea of how other assessors' offices
Would
operate.
you please pass that down?
There should be 6 copies, there's one for the clerk.
Oh, yeah. Are these what you emailed us? for
Yeah, I emailed
these?
Okay.
Okay.
So I primarily, when I look at the counties, the county
Thank
survey,
you.
the other counties, I looked at the counties that had about the same parcel count as we have, and then also about the same square mileage and population. And most of them have a vehicle that either they have that they also, the rest of the county can use as well, so they coordinate the usage of it, or they have their own vehicle, whether it's a sheriff hand-me-down or one that was purchased, 5 or 10 years ago, so. And I've sat up there before when these requests have come up there, and so I understand you guys have constituents like I do that you have to answer to, so it wasn't lightheartedly that I made the request, so.
Is that everything for now?
Yeah?
Okay.
If you have any questions?
I do, absolutely. Couple of them that I have, and then I don't know about everybody else, but, and you're right, this vehicle, well, the board was completely different, and you were sitting on the board when we bought this. Equinox, where you were not?
No, I just went off the board.
You just went off at that point in
It
time?
was purchased in February of 2000.
Because we were talking about it that fall, and, we talked about it being the discussion encompassed around strictly being VSO, and the commissioners at that time decided that it should be open to anybody within the court, the county family, not courthouse family, but county family. So my question would be, on this particular vehicle, would this I would like to see this be the same way.
Oh, absolutely.
This wouldn't just be strictly an assessor's vehicle, this would be a county vehicle that, obviously if you had something lined up, that you would take, whoever had it lined up would take priority, but it would be if somebody's going to conferences or something like that, that we could utilize it for that. Because as I look at the log, we've got right around 22,000 miles on it, I think, at one of the last signing outs.
Right.
So it doesn't get a ton of miles on them, but it's just the complication of lining up different things.
Right. And it's, when I envision, like the way that the car used to work, they went through the assessor's office to coordinate the usage of that. And so there's a big calendar on the door back there. VSO's office would come over and just write on their vet's appointment, on whatever date there was a vet's appointment. So we just knew that it wasn't available that day to the assessor's office. And I think that would fit well with anyone if, planning and zoning needed to use something to go out and make sure setbacks are being followed. The clerk needs to go to an elections meeting somewhere. I have no problem with that.
Okay. My second one is more of a broader question. We obviously knew that when you took over the assessor's office, that there was a lot of updating, a lot of modernizing that needed to happen. And I think this board has been pretty good about, giving you the keys, so to speak, to get that updated and rolling. If this was to happen, do we feel like we're kind of on track with the assessor's office. I mean, you've got, you know, we gave you the Eagle View
Yeah.
and different things like that, that hopefully has helped modernize and make things work. Is this gonna be kind of, say, it for a while that you can see?
Yeah, yeah, there'd be one other thing regarding personal property and filing of that, but I'm not comfortable with where our software company is on offering that quite yet. And then also, we're gonna need buy-in from the accountants in the county in order for that to, I think, really prove itself efficient to us. So that would be the only thing, but that's 4 or 5 years down the road probably, I think, at this point, so.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen,
I guess we've done a lot of vehicles this year. Personally, with your mileage, Kurt, I mean, you may put on 8,000 a year. I don't know, what type of mileage are we rolling off these cop cars that we're trading in?
oh, well, a lot of times they're not traded in. They're kept and traded out for like labor and stuff like that, but it's usually 125 to 150, you know, somewhere in there is what they have, for mileage, I would say. Josh, or nobody's here, but typically, and they are not your normal 125 or 150.
Agreed.
Yeah, they get a few ditches and medians and stuff like that in there too, so that they feel like, and then, so that typically in the past has been traded out for labors and different things like that through the local repair shops. So to my knowledge, we do not have any right now, as far as just spare ones sitting around. This Dodge, Dodge
I think it
something.
was.
Was it
I
a
think
Charger?
it was a
Charger, the old one.
I mean, it's sat behind my shop majority of its life in that parking lot back there. Nobody seemed to want to drive it. We had some issues with it there at the end and stuff like that, and it was time for it to go away, so, but go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I guess that's my only, the amount of usage. Yeah, I don't want you to drive something like that to meetings or whatnot. That's my only holdup is, man, it's a lot of money for not a lot of miles.
Right, and to that point, I mean, so even then we have two. I mean, if you look at what the vets use, and with the assessors, then we have two vehicles that it would be interesting to me. I'm afraid that there would be one of the vehicles sitting in the lot most of the time. One of them would be gone, but another one would be sitting there, and so just for the ease of scheduling, I mean, I get scheduling is frustrating, but do we just purchase another car just to make that easier when
Total usage according to the log, to Daniel's point, 11,000 miles since January 1st total.
Right. And that's, yeah, on two offices, if we split that in half, and so we've got two vehicles for 6,000-ish miles a piece. That's where my questions are. Is there a way that we can come up with a better system of scheduling and utilize the resources that we already have purchased? And I guess I don't know, like for your office, 85% of it is pretty well, you could schedule out. We talked, exchanged some emails. There's a few times where you'd need, you know, this afternoon I need to go follow up on this form. But would you agree, majority of your use of it, you know, okay, I'm gonna go do inspections on Thursday and Friday of this week or whatever.
Well, we like I said, after abstract days, when we really start getting after doing our work, so like next year, in 25, right, yeah, 25. After that, we'll start doing our work for the 2026 assessment year. So we'll just, the day after abstracts start going out, once I get everything moved over from my working file to my certified file, just start going at it. So we send out postcards to folks. a couple weeks in advance saying, hey, we're gonna be in your area, you know, soon, because we don't really have a date specific, because you just don't know,
Right.
you know, when the vehicle's available, or even when you get out to a parcel, maybe one parcel takes a little bit longer to inspect than you anticipate because of different additions and things that you had to do there to measure and take photos of. So we kind of have a general idea in that regard. Typically, like with protests, it's protest season, it's good to be able to go out if someone says, well, hey, this, you know, my house isn't like that, well, it'd be good to go say, hey, let me go check it out then, so then I can make a recommendation to you guys either way. The Form 425, the damaged property, we only had one of those forms last year.
Okay,
That
right.
was a house fire.
Yep.
Out in Dawson County, for example, they had big storms went through there this last summer, they had hundreds of those filed, and the assessor's required to go out and inspect each of those properties when those are filed. So, do we get those every year? No, I think the first
Sure.
year that form was in play, I think we had, gosh, we probably had 30 or 40 of them, because we had some hailstorms and windstorms come through that summer. So, the assessor at that time was required to inspect each of those
Yep.
claims then, so.
And this isn't, this is more a VSO side of things, as far as like, I don't know how far in advance their, requests come in, if they're, you know, getting the requests for the next day, or if it's, 2 or 3 days down. You know, that would be, you know, if they're coming in and people are saying, hey, can you find me a driver for tomorrow? Then I can see where that's hard to, especially then, you know, if you've got it reserved and it's getting pulled back from you, that is hindering your operations in your office for sure. Yeah,
Well, and I remember, you know, going over there a few times to the DSO's office to talk about, you know, availability of the vehicle and them saying like, you know, there's, looking out, you know, for the month, even like at the end of the month,
Okay.
they had an appointment or two, you
Yep.
know. So, and I don't think it's, you know, we talked about certain days of usage.
right.
I
yep.
think that's kind of tough,
Sure.
especially with the veterans appointments, because they schedule those appointments when it works for them, which
Yep.
makes sense. So maybe appointments wouldn't work just for,
Right, as far as if we said, VSO could use it
yeah.
on Monday, Tuesday, and
It's
assessor's
not a bad
office,
idea, but I don't think that would work.
Right,
And then like the mileage here that the county assessors put on it to date, that's just when it's been available to us.
right,
We
right,
probably-
exactly.
If the vehicle's available to us more, we would have put
You
way
would-
more miles on it than what I've shown there, so.
Another question.
Is there a bunch
Sir.
of questions?
Oh,
Just because we do have Board of
Right.
Equalization at 9 o'clock.
okay,
And-
just one quick,
Okay,
and
no,
then,
that's fine.
now you've scared it out of me.
Sorry.
It's all right. The other thing, and again, this is more follow-up on the back end, but just seeing, I know on the VSO side, there's a stipend, I believe, that can be paid to the volunteers that drive. You know, should there be a request come in and the car is not available, looking into whether or not it would be a possibility to pay mileage to, if that volunteer was willing to use their own vehicle. I know they have done it in the past, but I don't know if we ever, if we have the ability to pay that mileage, but that's something that we can follow later.
Okay.
Yeah, we can switch over. I'm good
Guys,
for
do you
now.
have,
If
do you
there's
have
any
some
other.
questions involved in this? We're gonna go to Board of Equalization, so I don't wanna shut all the questions down, but we had a 9 o'clock public Board of
Just had some
Equalization.
comments, but we can wait and do that.
Okay, is that okay? All right, so at this time, we will take a recess from the Board of Commissioners meeting. It won't take long in the Board of Equalization, but we will convene as the Board of Equalization and ask for a roll call, please.
Groves,
Yes, here.
Bowman,
Yes.
Todd,
Here.
Sykes,
Present.
Obermeyer.
Yes, I am here also. Open meetings law is posted on the south side of our chambers, in the hallway outside of our chambers, and also on our website. Proof of publication, once again, was in the News Times October 1st. And on our website, review and approve the minutes of our September 3rd Board of Equalization meeting, please.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Groves,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Sykes,
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes, and adopt today's agenda.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes, and you will notice a new addition to the agenda. It was remiss until here a week or two ago that we do need to allow public comment at all meetings that are open to the Open Meetings Act. And so at this point in time, anybody from the public that would like to get up and make a comment towards that may do so if they wish. And this will be a standing. We have to. If I see nobody get up, we will continue on. Okay, tax list corrections. Copies of those, do we not?
Kurt Goldrum, our county assessor.
Thank you, Kurt.
Two tax list corrections. The first one for 24P is for Mr. Sternberg. He passed away last year, and so they're accelerating the taxes in order so they can get the state work done on that. The second one, correction 524P, and that was personal property along with this next one here, is for an individual who didn't file their personal property return, so we filed one for them because we can, and then they came back with a their depreciation schedule, so this is just showing that correction, that correct information.
Okay, thank you, Kurt.
Move to approve tax list corrections?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bowman.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Rhodes.
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes. And next one up is application for exemption on a motor vehicle for Renewed Horizons. It is a Ford Fusion 2018 sedan. This was approved by the treasurer, Megan.
Move to approve exemption for Renewed Horizons.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Obermeyer.
Yes. Okay, and that does bring us to the end of our Board of Equalization meeting. Thank you, everybody. And we will reconvene as Board of Commissioners. Take up the conversation again.
The only comment I have, we have a list of the use of the vehicle, and it's quite obvious that the Veteran Service Officer uses it quite more often for appointments, Omaha, which means the car's gone for half a day at least, minimum. And a lot of these are not scheduled ahead of time. Some of them are, they need to go. Where I think Kurt can schedule his more often. And my opinion is, I think they need a car. And it's not something we're gonna be purchasing every year. I mean, that car could last 10 years. If we're only gonna put 8,000 to 10,000 miles on it in a year. And if, like Kurt said, you probably put more on it if it's available more often. And according to this list, it's not available a lot because the Veteran Service Office is using it. That's the only comment I have on that.
And that, I just asked him, I'm sure if you wanted to see more history, I just asked Nick to go back to the first of the year. I did not ask him for the full logbook, or didn't know if it would be
I
relevant,
understand.
so I asked him to go back to the first of the year. Leroy, do you have anything?
I just, everybody said it.
Okay.
It costs a
Jack.
lot, but it's hard to schedule. The vets things, like Jack just said.
It's only getting
They come up the
used.
day before.
I know, but it's only getting used. The biggest month of use is 14 entries. Most of them are 10 or less. It's not even at a 50% use rate.
Usually, what I was counting was 5 or 6 for the vets and the rest for the, so it's not being used, but. Are there days it just sits there, Kurt?
There are days.
Nobody uses it.
It's not, you know, obviously it's not unique for a county our size to have more than one vehicle. That wouldn't be saying we're the only one in the state of Nebraska that would have that. Where I would really like to see is, because I do get to sign the mileage waivers, when people use their own vehicles, that if we was to go this route, we highly encourage these vehicles to be used, so we're not paying as much mileage.
How many of those, that would change my opinion of this.
I would need to get that data, but I would say that every meeting, there'll be a mileage statement for me to sign there.
Multiples a meeting, or?
It's one or two. A lot of times, you know, the public defender has to go places because of people incarcerated someplace else, and you know, different things like that. You know, the only time that I mean, the board uses it is, you know, like going to conferences, or if they choose to, you know, take mileage for other reasons. So yeah, that would be a piece of the pie that would be interesting to know. The other thing, and me and Kurt did talk about this a little bit too, you know, these vehicles aren't cheap. And in parking space, we do have a parking space, but it'd be nice to see them get inside, to just make them live longer. I mean, it just is a fact that they're inside and sheltered, and they could live longer, and if we could do something that would help that, you know, I'd be a little bit more comfortable in that respect too. You know, just for the fact that, you know, first of all, when it does get snowy, they're out of the way, and then we could just go to where they're at and check them out and different things like that. So the reason that I wanted this on here is to discuss, is to bring up some questions and then give the opportunity for more questions to be asked and get the answers, and then we can go. Now, Kurt, you did check into the bidding process, and that was a state bid process.
Yeah, I visited with Harb. It was new to me, so I visited with Harb, and Harb was very helpful with telling me how that works. And so I called the dealership that had a vehicle that was, they actually had an Equinox on their bid sheet there, but they said they'd already sold out of them already. And so they had two comparable vehicles there, which is what I think I sent to everybody then, those two GMCs. And they had one of each of those left available on their lots yet. So,
Okay.
but so yeah, I did go that route, because that's saves money to the taxpayer too, going to that state bid route versus just going directly to a dealership.
Or you know, having to come up with three
Right.
bids.
Right.
Okay.
And like Jack said too, this wouldn't be something where I'd be making the request again in 4 years. So it'd last at least 10 years for the amount of miles being put on it. So, and then you just budget accordingly to replace it down the road as well. So.
Okay.
And then I don't know, as far as using personal vehicles, if NERMA has any opinion on using, you know, as far as going to meetings is one thing, but actually using them out in the field for work, I don't know if NERMA has an opinion on that or not.
Well, they probably have an opinion. They usually do. I mean, it's been the mileage, like I say,
I
that
think
we-
mileage would be reimbursed, but as far as if something were to happen, if you're on someone's property and the vehicle got damaged, someone's personal vehicle got damaged, you know,
who's responsible.
who's responsible for it, so.
Okay. Is there any other questions? I would encourage that if there's none right now, that you reach out with more questions if we need to find more answers, and we will be returning this to take action on it in the future meeting.
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody had their chance? Okay. Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
You bet.
Consideration.
Last thing, well, it isn't the last one, we're gonna do one more thing, committee reports that got left off there. Discuss an act on reappointing Craig Heskett. Alex, we'll ask you to come forward, please. And as Vice Chair of the York County Visitors Bureau Advisory Board, once again, name, even though we know who you are.
Alex Sala. Craig Heskett is a very valued member of our committee. He offers great advice for me, especially during this transition period. He's very available, answers all my financial questions, and I would strongly encourage you to reappoint him to my board.
Do you know what the term is? Do you know his, what it
I
covers?
think this would be his, I believe it's his third term.
But is it 2 years or is it 3?
Oh, it's 3
I can't
years.
remember. It's a 3-year term. Okay. And I assume that the board, the advisory committee took action
Mm-hmm,
and it was unanimous.
Yes.
That's an assumption, but I assume.
yes,
Okay.
And he very much wants to do this.
yes.
Any comments, Jack?
No comment.
No comment?
I'm all for it.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? It's always nice to get volunteers rather than to beat the bushes.
Right.
Okay? Roll call, please.
Bowman,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Groves.
Yes.
Overblame.
Yes. Any other announcements at all? I know you had said one time, Instagram, Visitors
Oh,
Bureau is on.
yeah, the Visitors Bureau is now on Instagram. It's at York County NE. We are also getting our billboards redesigned. So that'll be the first time they've been redesigned in 20 years. And so currently I'm working with the Department of Roads to see if we can put a QR code to our website so we can get some more traffic there. And get a little more exposure about what's going on in the events that we host here.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks, Alex.
Mhm.
Okay, it didn't make the agenda, but we're gonna go ahead and do committee reports anyway, because we're just gonna talk. We gotta get this new clerk
I know.
trained up pretty good one of these days. It's been a couple months, I guess, we'll let it slide. Anybody have anything to report that they'd like to
The only
talk
thing I
about?
have to report is, did my Holy Valley Community Action new board member onboarding last week. That was enlightening, so, very good organization, it does a lot. The thing I took away from that is a lot of the stuff that we're doing through some of the diversion, juvenile and adult, kind of dovetail into the needs of that organization, so glad to see that we're getting some of those grants approved and moving forward with those programs. So, that's all I got.
Okay. Daniel, you got it?
I don't have anything.
Harvest.
Harvest.
Okay.
Be patient with the dust.
Dusty, yeah.
Only comment I have is that the announcement about the joint communications aid, I missed that. It came out Thursday, the meeting was Friday, and I was out of town. Sorry.
Okay, and we did have it last Friday. It's nice to get Mindy back. She was on maternity leave for a few weeks, and so she's back. This will be her second week back, so things are rolling over there. There wasn't much else discussed at that one. Call volume is about the same as normal. Let's see here. Usually somewhere in the quarter about 1,300 total calls. I mean, it's about, everything seems to be running okay. I will report on, because we've had discussion on the upstairs, the gentleman that does our window cleaning for us had told us now this last time too, that as he cleans our upstairs windows, the caulking keeps falling off. That's the first we had heard about that. You don't necessarily see that from the ground level, but when he gets his ladder up there, he gets first. So Brian has reached out to the local Nebraska window and door, and they're supposed to be here this week to give us some ideas. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a range of recaulking to replacing,
Right.
and so we'll have that forward. And we did talk with Dry Hero again. He gave Brian some points. He felt like there was no problem with continuing on with construction. Gave him some points of what to do on the wall up there and to get it taken care of. And then of course the window, the caulking around the window will probably lead into the fact that that needs to be done, which isn't surprising when we're looking at 40 plus year old building. So had that going on. I can announce as of roughly 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, the budget was submitted and we're done. So there is an official, part to that. So everything was done and submitted, so we should be good for another year. And then the next step for us will be setting levies this next month. And you should have got all the paperwork in on
I think
all
I'm
the political
missing
subdivisions and-
one budget, and I've reached out yesterday just to remind,
Okay,
and I believe,
thank you for doing that.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that's most of what's been going on, around here. Did you have anything this morning? Nothing? Okay.
Oh, early voting will begin on the 7th. So if you want to early vote, the courthouse will be a polling place. Come on in and vote early.
Okay. Next week, at the end of next week is the NERMA legislative session. I am gonna go out to that one, and then, not NERMA, NACO. NERMA's at the end of the month, and I believe there'll probably be some of us go out to the NERMA one. I know the NACO one was limited seating, but I think there was still seating available if somebody wanted to go out to that one. So, that being said, anybody have anything else? I knew it was gonna be short. Nothing? We'll adjourn.
Regents meeting that I mentioned on Friday is actually going to be in Kearney.